Are you self-employed? You're on LLC, got an S Corp, C Corp, and you're looking to go purchase a home. You're looking to go buy a car. You go to the lender. They want proof of income. You show them some tax returns, or you show them some bank statements of money you got going in and money you pulled out your bank, but you don't have any kind of formal way of reporting your income. You never got a W-2. You never did a 1099. You have no way of showing it. And now you're stuck because you're making money. You got income to prove you actually got money in the bank to show it as well, but you have no formal way of showing, listen, this is how my income is stated. This conversation is for you guys, okay? Listen, when the first thing we start talking about payroll we know is the actual income that you have coming in from a particular job, be it if you work for somebody or if you own a company yourself. What I want people to understand, when we start talking about having payroll and you're self-employed, you want to get it set up. The basic thing you need to look for is, number one, we say, hey D, how much do I need to pay myself? What do I need to set myself up at payroll? Now, what I would tell anyone, you want to set yourself up just to cover your basic living expenses, right? When we say your basic living expenses. Now, if you don't even have enough to cover your basic living expenses, you might not necessarily want to start payroll because there are additional costs, we'll talk about that a little later, that come along with having payroll that you may not be able to cover. So if you can't put yourself on payroll for your basic living expenses, what do I mean by basic living expenses? We're talking about utilities, groceries, incidentals. Incidentals may be clothing, going out, things like that. You know, if you want, that's the basic that you want to start yourself off as payroll at, because again, that's normally, if you don't have payroll, those are the normal things that you may be pulling out of your business account if you're self-employed, right? You may be pulling in $5,000 a month, which, like I say, one week you're pulling out the mortgage, next week you're pulling out grocery money, and these are just basic withdrawals. They're not payroll, and I'll give an explanation on that in a second. But the basic payroll that you want to pay yourself stated will be your basic living expenses. Again, the utilities, groceries, and those basic living incidentals. Now, again, when I just brought up the whole point of withdrawals are just money that you pulled out of your account. And the thing of it is, you can't report that to the IRS as income because unless you give yourself a 1099. And when we say we do have payroll, the difference between a withdrawal and payroll, you actually filing that with the IRS, the state, and your state Department of Revenue, and also the Department of Labor, just in case you may need, unemployment, things like that. You're reporting that on a monthly or quarterly basis and an annual basis to let them know this is the income I have coming in. The actual withdrawals, it's just money you pulling out of account, and if you're going to report that, you will issue out a 1099 at the end of the year, right? Far too often people feel like because they have money coming in, they pull it out, the money they pulled out will be considered payroll. The problem is if you don't report that money that came out, at least on the 1099, it's irrelevant. And that's very, very important. So I always err on the caution of, guys, if you don't know what you're doing, go get proper counsel. Go get you an accountant. Go get you a payroll company. The money that you pay for those particular services will save you such a headache if you don't know what the hell you're doing, especially you get in a situation where you're ready to make a move, make a home purchase, car purchase, or even go high level with certain things. You want to make sure you got your ducks in a row with that. So if you don't know what you're doing, guys, make sure you get proper counsel with that. So we start again looking at going back to the whole process. We know what a withdrawal is. That's the money you pulled out. And if you want to ever report it, remember you got to issue yourself out of 1099 and also forward that information to the IRS to let the IRS know that you reported as a independent contractor. We go to the payroll side where you're actually allocating a certain amount to go to you. Keep in mind that when you're doing this for the payroll, you're going to be also reporting it to those different bodies, IRS, your state Department of Revenue, and probably your state unemployment, right? When you're doing that, reporting that amount on a monthly or quarterly basis, guys, good rule of thumb to make sure you're allocating about 25% of the gross payroll to some custodial account for payroll taxes, okay? You got to keep that in mind. Make sure you're allocating probably a quarter each payroll to some account to cover that federal taxes, the state taxes, and probably unemployment, okay? Just a good rule of thumb to do. As you go through the process, you can kind of go and look and say, hey man, I don't necessarily need that much. Maybe I can reduce it down to 20 or 15%, but I would start off at 25%, okay? Because remember, the actual individual that you're paying yourself, example, you're paying yourself $2,000 a month, the net after taxes taken out may be $1,500, right? Right, $1,500. Let's say 60 and 4. Let's say we're talking $2,000, and that's quarter or 25% is $5,000. So let's say $15,000, $1,500, right? So 25% of 2,000 is 15. Is 500. We take out that, you got $1,500. That's the net amount. That $500 in taxes is taken out from that individual, but the company also has to pay $500. So that's $1,000 has to go to the IRS for that payroll. Keep that in mind. So that's why we want to make sure that we're allocating this money in some kind of custodial account where we actually be able to cover our payroll taxes. Okay, you got to make sure you're doing this, guys. There are no shortage of websites and different calculators you can find on that a simple Google search will pull up in regards to how to figure out payroll taxes. Okay, and they can go from, you can put in your state where they'll allocate how much will be. You report to your state Department of Revenue and also to your state unemployment. Okay, so you just easy Google search for a payroll calculator will help you guys out with that. Okay, again, what starts a lot of this conversation with people that are self-employed or working for as independent contractors is when they try to purchase a home or get a car or something like that. It comes up, hey, do you have any how's your income stated? And a lot of times, you haven't had payroll. They got it. Most mortgage lenders are going to want to look at 2 years of tax returns. They take the average of the net income on your Schedule C, where that's the average of line 30, line 31 on your Schedule C, dividing that by 24 to see if what's the monthly income with that, and that's kind of they'll base it how much they'll give you for a mortgage. And to be going through there to have all that kind of stuff, it can be tedious or headachesome. So at the end of the day, if you're making that kind of income and you want to set yourself up where it'll be a lot easier, where they can just take a W-2 from you, you might want to go into payroll, because that's pretty much what they're looking to have, that reported income with doing it. Keeping in mind, guys, the responsibility of having a payroll, you're going to have to make those quarterly filings. Those filings to them. They can be with your 941 to your federal. Again, these are quarterly reports or monthly reports, and that varies depending on how much money you make. Okay, again, you can get you a payroll company. You can get you some accountant, somebody to do this stuff for you, or you just take the time to educate yourself. But mind you, if you're not familiar with it, what I would advise, if you're not familiar with it and you don't know what to do, get somebody that knows how to do it. You make them pay them extra so they can teach you, because it's not simple, but it's not extremely difficult. But I would advise you, if you say, listen, I don't want to do this long term, get the service started, find out what they're doing, learn it for about 6 months, and then if you want to branch out, do your own thing, I get it, right? But if you're not familiar with it, do not start off doing it yourself. I'm an accountant, guys. I'm just my best advice to you with doing this, okay? But keep in mind, when you're getting payroll started, you have to, this is one of the biggest things that have bit a lot of my clients over the past 20 years in the butt. No matter how many times I tell them, make sure you're allocating that 25% to the side. And it may not be that much, but again, when you have that responsibility of the quarter, the maybe possible monthly, quarterly, and annual tax filings, okay? Those forms have to be turned in by certain dates and deadlines. If you don't, there are fees and penalties associated with it. Trust me when I tell you this. They ramp up fast if you don't stay on top of it. So there's a big responsibility outside of the cost that you will pay in the taxes, but the penalties associated with it can go astronomical, guys, if you don't stay on top of it, okay? But again, in the grand scheme of things, it will make life a whole lot easier for you if you're self-employed, if you want to show incomes that will help you and report income that will give you an opportunity to get a mortgage, get a car. Because you go with your basic 1099 or tax return, regardless if you come to 1099 or the 1099 is still going to end up more than likely, because it has to go to Schedule C on your income taxes. You still got to show 2 years, standard, usually two years of tax returns. Some may go off of just bank statements, but again, typically when you go to places like that, the cost of the loan, what I mean by the interest rate, is going to be a lot higher, okay? But we want to make life as easy as possible for us. Get the payroll started, right? get the payroll started. Again, if the cost of the payroll is the actual amount, payroll shouldn't be that much, especially in relation to what you'd be making. If you're making enough, you feel that can put you in a situation where you can purchase a home or get your car. The issue comes up a lot of times just staying on top of, make sure you can report the taxes and actually pay the taxes that are due on that quarterly basis, okay? But again, basic rule of thumb, guys, basic rule of thumb, look at your basic living expenses, okay? Utilities, groceries, and incidentals, right? Allocate 25% of that gross payroll to the taxes. Put that in a custodial account. When you say even if we want to go past the actual basic living expenses, and your lender can tell you on the front end, hey, this is how much money you need to be showing. This is how much money you need to be showing for you to qualify for this loan. If you want to adjust your payroll and just pay yourself a little bit more to qualify for that, you can always do that. Be it when you do it yourself from a reporting standpoint, or you let your payroll company know. But keep in mind there will be an increase in the payroll tax amount in relation to the amount that you increase the payroll for. But again, that's where you have a conversation with your lenders to find out exactly what you need to show, okay? Because far too often people are out here making money, they're self-employed, but the actual reporting process, that's not taken care of, okay? But payroll in a nutshell, I just want to go over that with you guys. Like I said, I am an accountant, and I'm going to tell you guys the right way to do things. And I understand sometimes people want to try to do things on their own. With doing it, that's fine, because anybody can build a house, anybody can put a motor in a car, but sometimes you do need professionals. And that's why I say again, if you do want to go down the road of trying to do it yourself, I still advise hire somebody at first, learn what they're doing. If you want to step out there and go from there, but I definitely wouldn't advise anyone, especially if you have any kind of financial background, I would never start it off. I wouldn't, no matter how smart you are, because there are a lot of things you just don't know that'll be associated with it. You can do it and it'll be great, but you can do it can be devastating. And I can tell you right now one of those governing bodies, be it the IRS, whatever state Department of Revenue, or whatever state Department of Labor, cares that you didn't know. They could care less. What they care about is when can you pay these penalties, when can you pay these fines, okay? Best of luck to you guys. Make sure you subscribe to Mr. Short Dollar on YouTube, where we talk about personal finance, be it entrepreneurship and investing. A lot of great information on the channel. Most importantly, to get more great information like we just talked about, and to stay and more great information coming down the pipe, hit that $ in the bottom right hand corner to subscribe, and also make sure you hit the bell to get a notification each time we upload a new video. Good luck now.